Mr. Linda, we have decided to move into our house because my father earned it for us brick by brick. We don't want to make no trouble for nobody or fight any causes. And we will try to be good neighbors. Now that's all we have to say about that. We don't want your money. Walter Lee Younger in Lorraine Hansberry's classic work, A Raisin in the Sun. Brother Heathel, Griot's Corner, we are beginning a Back to Black showcase of Black films and the impact those films have made and continue to make upon the culture and the societal climate that we live in. This film adaptation, released in 1961, originally done on stage on Broadway, starring the legendary Sidney Poitier, which I believe was apropos that we begin this Back to Black classic film review by honoring the late legend Sidney Poitier, who recently transitioned from this world to the next world. And so we salute, we honor him. We honor the work that he did in this film as he portrayed the troubled, hopeful, but yet troubled Walter Lee Younger, who was a chauffeur, wanting to do better for himself and his family, hopeful with the incoming insurance money that would be coming in following his father's passing, that he would be able to take that money and put it toward opening a club, with a few other friends of his, only to have that reality dashed. He was in relational conflict first with his wife, portrayed in the 1961 film adaptation by the legendary Ruby Dee, who portrayed Ruth Younger. And we saw her struggle with trying to be a good wife, trying to be a good mother, trying to be supportive, and yet not feeling that she was being undergirded and supported by Walter. Ruby Dee, you could see the heaviness that she carried in trying to hold a piece of the family together as best as she could. And that was reflected beautifully in the film. Outstanding performance by the late legendary actress Claudia McNeil, who portrays Lena Younger. Lena Younger, who again is the matriarch of the family, knowing that her son Walter wants to take this insurance money and do something that would be beneficial for the family, but yet she has pause, she has caution, she has some uncertainty about the aspiring spirit of her son, that she felt he may not make the wisest decisions. And so we see in the film the struggle, the conflict that Walter, Lena, and Ruth have with not only their situations, living where they were living, but with the hope and expectation that they could do better for themselves and their family. Diana Sands, the late great Diana Sands, portrays Benitha Younger, college student, wanted to see the world, challenging some of the cultural traditions that she had been raised in. That was beautifully outlined and performed in the exchange with Lena when she denied the existence of God, only to find herself slapped, and Mama Younger saying to her, "In my mother's house, there is still God." We see her struggle, we see her conflict as well. Diana Sands, to mention, was originally supposed to portray the role of Claudine in the 1974 film Claudine with James Earl Jones. Unfortunately, she had become ill and had died. And so the role went to Diane Carroll. Claudine was still a beautiful movie, classic work, but it was Diana Sands who was originally being looked at to portray that role. Ivan Dixon. Many of us remember Ivan Dixon from Hogan's Heroes, as well as Car Wash. Ivan Dixon portrays the African student Assegai, who is in love with Benitha and wants to marry her and take her away to Africa and do some and have a life with her. He portrays that role beautifully. Louis Gossett Jr., young Louis Gossett Jr., portrayed the role of George Murchison in this film adaptation as well. Very classic work. And Stephen Perry, who plays the young Travis Younger, did an outstanding job. The film was outstanding. The message of how a Black family navigates during the segregation years through trying to better themselves, trying to advance themselves, and being met with challenges all the way, even right down to the end of the movie when someone from the neighborhood council who wanted them not to move in, brings in a representative who was portrayed by John Fielder. He portrays Mark Linder, who brings a check to try to buy, not only buy back the house that they were investing in, but give them even more money toward that. And so that last scene with Walter Lee telling Mr. Linder that they were going to move into their house and that they were going to be good neighbors. I mean, just that gumption to go into a neighborhood that they were unfamiliar with, moving in with white neighbors. Of course, we know that historically that when this began to happen with a lot of Black families, there was what was known as white flight. And they moved, white homeowners moved out of these neighborhoods because they did not want to live in a desegregation community with Black families. And so Lorraine Hansberry, the late great Lorraine Hansberry, captured this beautiful essence of social and cultural struggles within the scope of the love and the commitment and the dedication that's found within the Younger family. And she did it, she wrote it beautifully. And so we just wanted to, I think that if you've never seen the 1961 version of A Raisin in the Sun, please go see it. Newer film adaptations have been made of A Raisin in the Sun, but this classic work with these tremendous actors and what they poured into these roles, and you could see it come out beautifully in their very emotional and pivoting portrayals of the Younger family. We are going to be reviewing Black classic films back to Black. We'll be doing that periodically, and so stay tuned. Subscribe to Heath L. Just hit the subscribe button and look forward to new film reviews as we do this Back to Black classic film review. This is Brother Heath L. Peace and blessings.